مر الزمان تألقا وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن يهدينا به للصالحات وللمكارم والتقى هذا كتاب الله أعذب منهل أنعم به.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the 23rd episode of this series, the 40 hadith pertaining to the virtues and the rulings of the Quran. In today's episode, we will look at the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, which is reported in Sahih Muslim and other books of hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La taj'alu buyutakum maqabir." That do not turn your homes into graveyards. إن الشيطان يفر من البيت الذي تقرأ فيه سورة البقرة. For indeed the devil, the shaitan, he flees from a home in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ teaches us the impact the Quran has, not just on you as an individual, but on your surroundings, and the most probably important surrounding in your life, which is your home. So the Prophet ﷺ began the hadith by saying, do not make your homes like graves. Do not make your homes like graveyards. Now, how do we make our homes like graveyards? What's the feature of a graveyard? A graveyard is a place in which there are dead people buried. And these people, they cannot perform any good deeds. They cannot make dhikr, they cannot pray, they cannot fast, they cannot give charity, etc. They have, of course, the continuous charity, sadaqah jariyah, but they cannot initiate a new charity like that. And so therefore, the Prophet said, do not make your homes like graveyards in which there are no good deeds performed in. Rather, recite the Quran. Recite the Quran, because by reciting the Quran, the shaitan, and in particular Surah Al-Baqarah, the shaitan, he flees from such homes. What do we learn from this hadith? Number one, we learn that a person who doesn't engage in qira'at al-Quran in his home, then essentially his environment, his home will be like a place where the dead inhabit. Meaning these people are of no benefit to themselves or the people around them. And so subhanAllah, the one who doesn't engage in good deeds and reciting the Quran, he has been likened to someone who is dead. And that's how, if we look, Allah describes the Quran as being the spirit, as we mentioned already. وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا. And we have revealed unto you a spirit from our command. Because a human body without a ruh is dead. And likewise, the heart of the believer without the Quran is spiritually dead. And so by reciting the Quran, it brings life to our hearts and it brings life to our surroundings as well. And here the Prophet ﷺ has specifically singled out Surah Al-Baqarah for having the impact or having the effect of making the devils flee from our homes. And what's the secret behind Surah Al-Baqarah? Many scholars, they said maybe possible reasons is because Surah Al-Baqarah, it's the longest surah in the Quran, and it's a surah which contains where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned the most. It contains 1,000 ahkam, rulings, 1,000 exhortations for good, to encourage people to do good, and 1,000 warnings. And I mean, these are just rough estimations that scholars have mentioned. It mentions the story of Iblis as well, Shaitan himself. It mentions the traits of the believers. It mentions many stories of some of the great prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, etc. So this surah has great virtue. And so if a person recites it, then the shaitan, he flees. And according to some riwayat, it mentions that the shaitan will stay away for 3 days as well. And that has some basis in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So inshallah, try and make it a habit of reciting the Quran in your homes, and in particular Surah Al-Baqarah, because it will give life to your houses and to your homes. It will give life to your heart as well, inshallah, and it will prevent you from being spiritually dead, just as those who are physically dead in their graves, they cannot do good deeds. Without the Quran, we will find it very difficult to do good deeds in our lives. And in the next episode, inshallah, we will look at the warning the Prophet ﷺ gave to this ummah for those people who recite the Quran yet do not ponder and reflect over its teachings, thus establishing the virtue of reciting with reflection. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الزمان تألقا وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن يهدينا به للصالحات وللمكارم والتقى نور على مر الزمان تألقا.